World War II began with Germany's attack on the Polish port city of Danzig on September 1, 1939. During the invasion of Poland, Britain and France, which had already been allies with Poland, declared war on Germany, and in order to retaliate against France for inflicting defeat on Germany in World War I, Hitler first ordered a plan to invade France.
At the time, France had experienced terrible casualties in the 4-year-long First World War and focused on a strategy of relying on defense. The Maginot Line was a defensive fortress built to completely block the border between France and Germany with huge walls and bunker facilities. It was constructed in the 1930s in response to the rise of Adolf Hitler and Nazi Germany. These massive barriers and facilities were named the Maginot Line after André Maginot, the French army general who advocated for this defense line. It was 750 kilometers long, took 10 years to build, and the cost was enormous. Historians estimate that the total cost of the Maginot Line was between 3 and 5 billion French francs, which is equivalent to approximately 9 to 15 billion US dollars in today's money.
Centering on the Maginot Line along the border with Germany, France was preparing for German air raids that might occur at any moment. The 7 months between the declaration of war between Germany and France on September 3, 1939, and the German invasion of France on May 10, 1940, are known as the Phony War or the Sickle. This period was one of relative inactivity on the Western Front, but it was also a time of intense military preparation and planning. France and the United Kingdom were also actively engaged in military preparations, but they did not launch any major offensives against Germany. As time passed, Germany invaded, and because it was guarded by the impregnable Maginot Line, a frontal invasion was tantamount to a reckless act of suicide. The only way to advance into France was from the north, as the border between France and Germany was heavily fortified. However, there were many conflicting opinions within Germany about an invasion of France. The most influential opinion was Operation Yellow Fall Job, which Army Chief of Staff Franz Halder proposed after much deliberation. Halder's plan called for a massive German attack through the Ardennes forest, a region that was considered to be impassable for tanks. The intention was to avoid the Maginot Line and deploy the main force in the Netherlands and northern Belgium to attack quickly. In fact, this route was also expected by the Allies, and they were also thoroughly deployed their main force there. Therefore, Manstein, a famous German general at the time, strongly criticized the operation, saying it was an operation to drive the Allied forces to the point expected by the enemy, and proposed a new operation to replace Operation Yellow. Operation Sickle, unternehmen Sickle-Schnitt, was the operation that replaced Operation Yellow Fall Job as the plan for the German invasion of France. It was devised by Erich von Manstein, a German general, and it was approved by Hitler in January 1940. The key was to subvert the enemy's expectations and attack them from behind in the forest area of the Ardennes region. The Ardennes woodland south of Belgium was so densely wooded that it was nearly impossible for armored forces to pass through. However, Manstein explained that if an attack in this place went well and succeeded in infiltrating it, there would be a good chance of winning the occupation of France. After hearing a detailed explanation of Operation Sickle, Hitler was very satisfied and changed his plan to invade France to Operation Sickle. After receiving such sudden instructions from the Führer, the General Staff eventually supplemented Manstein's plan and re-established it so that it could be applied in actual combat.
Of course, this decision did not mean that France did not think that Germany would infiltrate there. In fact, General Pretla, commander of the French Army's Second Army, conducted a war game. To determine whether it was realistically possible for the German army to pass through the Ardennes, General Pretla conducted a war game simulation.
As a result, it was concluded that the German army could reach the Meuse River within 60 hours and penetrate quickly enough. And a year later, the French military tried the war game again and got the same results. In other words, Germany's invasion of the Ardennes forest was known to be quite possible, and the French army expected it to some extent.
However, French Army Commander-in-Chief Gamelin believed from the beginning that a large-scale attack through the Ardennes was unlikely. At the time, Commander-in-Chief Gamelin judged that even if the German army reached the Meuse River, it could be stopped by deploying French reserves.
Later, Gamelin's judgment was very wrong and led to disastrous results. On May 10, 1940, the invasion of France began, and the German army began its rapid advance. The 136 divisions of the German army were divided into 3 groups and deployed for Operation Sickle. First, they passed through the Netherlands and Belgium to create the illusion to the French army that they would move according to the scenario they had envisioned.
One group organized most of the main force and armored divisions into the Ardennes forest and infiltrated there. The remaining group decided to keep the French army in check on the Maginot Line. Contrary to the French thinking that they could easily block the Ardennes forest, German troops pushed in large numbers, and their speed was very fast. The French army, which until the very end had mistakenly believed that the group near the Netherlands and Belgium was the main force, was blocked from behind within 3 weeks. Just 10 days after the German invasion of France began on May 10, 1940, and French army was surrounded and defeated. The German army had achieved a decisive victory in the Battle of France. The German victory was due to a number of factors, including the surprise attack through the Ardennes forest, the superior quality of German tanks and aircraft, and the French army's lack of preparedness. The French defeat was a major turning point in World War II. It led to the German occupation of France and the collapse of the Allied war effort in Western Europe. The Battle of France is a reminder of the importance of planning and preparedness in war. It is also a reminder of the dangers of underestimating the enemy. It is important to note that the number of French troops surrounded and captured by the Germans is disputed by historians. Some historians estimate that the number was close to 1 million than 1.5 million. As the war turned towards Germany's victory, the British expeditionary commander decided to withdraw to his home country and gathered 400,000 troops on the beaches of Dunkirk. At this time, Hitler's order came to the German army to stop its attack and maintain the current front line. After the invasion of France in 1940, Hitler decided to take a break due to concerns about the prolongation of the war and the heavy losses suffered by the German army. The invasion of France was a swift and decisive victory for Germany, but it came at a cost. The German army lost over 250,000 men during the campaign, and its armored divisions were severely depleted. The Allied weapons were powerful enough to rival the German army, so the German military leadership was concerned about an Allied counterattack. When Germany stopped its attack, the Allied forces gained time to carry out a withdrawal operation. Taking advantage of the German army's hesitation, Britain mobilized all ships capable of crossing the strait for a 72-kilometer escape operation to England. Total of 861 ships, including military ships as well as civilian ships, were mobilized, and 243 ships sank during the escape due to German attacks and difficult conditions. Hermann Göring, Germany's second-in-command at the time, was confident that Germany's air power alone could defeat the Allies. Göring was a former fighter pilot and the commander of the Luftwaffe, the German Air Force. He believed that the Luftwaffe was the most powerful air force in the world and that it could easily defeat the Royal Air Force, the British Air Force. As the Allied troops withdrew to England by ship, they fought a fierce air battle with Germany and England. Britain fiercely defended itself against the German fighter planes and successfully withdrew 300,000 troops to the British mainland in 1 week.
In order to safely withdraw the British troops, about 35,000 French soldiers were said to have fought against the Germans from behind until the end and were killed or taken prisoner.
Italy's Mussolini, who was unable to decide between the Allies and the Axis powers, quickly entered into an alliance with Germany and joined the Axis powers before France surrendered. We continue the fascinating story of Italy's Mussolini in German Invasion of France, Part 2. Thank you for watching the video, German Invasion of France, Part 1, provided by History and Current Events. Gina, Bella, Cindy, Helena, and Tony have contributed so far as narrators. Thank you.